All right, we finally get to start JavaScript. This is great. So here we are, and here's some JavaScript. Now you might say, wait a minute, this looks like a page. It is, and you haven't even seen the JavaScript work on this page yet, but when I reload it, oh, look at that. We have an alert box pop up. It gives us some text. We click OK, and it goes away. So here's the code, and for our JavaScript, we put all of our JavaScript code between an opening script tag, that's what this is right here, and a closing script tag. That's what we have right there. So this is our script section, and this inside is our JavaScript code. Now just like here, remember we had a comment that we could use so that we could put in comments in our HTML code. Well, there are comments for JavaScript as well. This here is a comment. This is called a block comment. Or a multi-line comment. It starts with /* and it ends with */. And everything in there is just ignored. Now the JavaScript is run by a part of the browser called the JavaScript engine. And the JavaScript engine will just ignore anything that's in between a /, oops, I'm getting the whole line here and I don't really want that. Anything between a /* and a */. So that's one kind of comment. The other kind is called a single line comment, and that's where you use 2 /. Once it sees 2 /, it just ignores everything to the end of the line and then just picks up again on the next line. So that's the first thing we see here. This doesn't do anything in the code. It's just something we put in there to tell us what we're doing, kind of a note to ourselves. Similarly, same thing here. What is code is this stuff, again, except for the comment part. And what window on load means is that when we go to load a page, window on load is something called a function. We'll talk about what that is in just a moment. But what this means here is that if we have our page loading, once it's done loading, go ahead and do the stuff here, and in particular the stuff that's in between these two braces. So that's what window on load does. The page loads. When the page finishes loading, if we have a window on load function, it'll come and do everything inside this function. And you notice that we really only have one statement that runs in here, and it's that. So when we come here, it is this line of code here that's making this appear and that's putting this in here. And you can see that because right here you can see that here we have the text, Gilderoy is a narcissist, between double quotes, and here we have Gilderoy is a narcissist, and we don't see the double quotes. So what happens is alert is called a function, and when we have a function, we do something called calling the function, and we do that by sending it in whatever information it needs, and then it does its job. All alert needs is some text, and it outputs that text. But you notice that alert requires that the text start with a double quote and it end with a double quote. This is something that we call a character string, and we'll look at that in just a minute. So let's take a little bit deeper look on how this particular character string thing works inside an alert. For those of you that are really alert, you'll notice that we have open and close double quotes. So what happens if you want to display double quotes? Well, suppose I want to put double quotes around is. Not going to like it. Look at that, it didn't even come up because this is only supposed to take one piece of text, one character string. So if I want to do this, there is a way to do it. I use a / double quote. So I have / double quote, save, come back, reload, and now look, you've got the double quotes around the is. All right, now for those of you that are really, really alert or really astute, your next question would be, okay, this is fine, but what if I want a /? Well, guess what? We use the / again, but we just use it with a / after it. So we save that, we come back to here, we reload, and now you'll notice we've got one / before the word narcissist, And that's because this one says, all right, don't use me, but use the thing after me, which happens to be another backslash. Finally, there's one other thing I want to show you that'll be useful on how we can manipulate these character strings, and that is to go to a new line. If I want to go to a new line, I use \n. So I put in \n and I save that, and I come here and I reload, and now you'll notice we have Gilderoy Lockhart on one line, then we have, this is called a new line, and then everything else drops down to the next line. Now you might say, but wait a minute, I see \n here at the beginning of narcissist. Why didn't it go and do another line break there? And the reason is that it reads the text left to right, and so when it finds this backslash, it then uses the next backslash, or the next thing after it, the next character after it that it should display. And it displays that, and so this has already been used up, so when we get to the end, it's just the N in the word narcissist. And if you don't know what a narcissist is, look it up. Okay, so we've got this alert, and we see how this alert works, and we see how we can play with the text a little bit and all of that. What do we mean by a character string? You notice that I'm referring to this as a string or a character string. There was a time in the past, and it may still be going on in some places, where there was this kind of fad where people took little plastic blocks that had holes drilled through them and had letters on them and could turn them into necklaces or bracelets or that kind of thing. And you notice that here we just have a jumble of characters. It's like a jumble of those little plastic blocks. And now here they're organized. And they start here and it's a sequence. So we have the blank page. Same thing here. A string or a character string is nothing more than a group of characters grouped as a sequence. And when we're looking at them this way, just kind of raw, we'll find another way that we can save them in the future, not in this video though. We take the text we want, and in front of it we put a double quote, and at the end of it we put a double quote, and then the system will take everything in between those two double quotes and say, that's the character string, kind of like these characters here were. That's what I'm going to use as a string. So that's what character strings are. Now, about functions. Alert here is a function. And a function is something that does a job for you. For instance, it's always good to have friends, right? Of course it is. And so let's suppose that you and a friend are going to have some people over for dinner. And you're working in the kitchen, getting some stuff made, making some of the food, and you ask your friend, can you please set the table for me? And your friend doesn't need any more instruction than that because your friend already knows how to set a table. So your friend takes something that looks like that and turns it into something like that. You didn't have to tell your friend, put the forks over here and the knife and the spoon over here and the whatever. Your friend already knew how to do that. So you were able to just make a request and not have to worry about the details because your friend took care of the details for you. It's the same thing here. There are a lot of details that go into making an alert box. It has to figure out where on the page it's going to put it. It has to take text and put the text in there. It has to go and decide where it's going to put the button. It has to have a place where you can just get rid of it without hitting the button. So it has all of those different things, and you don't have to worry about any of that. All you do is that you give the name of the function, and then inside open and close parentheses, you pass in whatever additional information the function needs to do its job. These are called, when we create a function, we call the stuff that we're going to receive parameters. Here, when we actually pass something in, we call it an argument. So this alert is receiving one argument. It's receiving that string right there. And that is your first introduction to using JavaScript.